Hi there, Econ 200 students, my micro students, Team Micro. You guys are doing fantastic. Hopefully you've seen that I've updated Canvas with a lot of upcoming due dates and things. It looks like a lot, but there's a nice little bit of space in between each due date. Additionally, the assignments are not that onerous. So for example, I think there's only a couple problems on the homeworks. One of them actually might only have 4 questions, and the other one it looks like there's 8 questions, but they're 8 pretty simple questions. They're not as in depth, let's say, as the supply and demand, where you had like A through G market models and so on. So good news is we are rapidly approaching the second exam. So my goal is to get you guys as much practice as you can, because that's the best way to learn economics, is to do economics. So I want to afford you guys enough opportunities. So I have posted the dates for the post-unit quizzes. I have not opened them up yet. I'll get those opened tomorrow, Sunday, May 17th sometime. So you can get started on those. The post-unit quizzes are supposed to be review after you've spent some time working on the material, after the reading quiz, and you've gone back and reviewed stuff that the reading quiz suggested that you needed to review, and maybe even after you've done the homework. So after you've done the marginal utility elasticity homework, now you're ready for that post-unit quiz on chapters 5 and 6, the elasticity and the marginal. You've had some more practice since that reading quiz. So now you should be able to knock that post-unit quiz out of the park, okay? So that's where we're at. Look for those post-unit quizzes. Look for the next homework assignment. This lecture will help you with completing the Chapter 7 homework assignment. I've posted 2 handouts that will help you with Chapter 7. Chapter 7 deals with the firm, production, and cost. We're switching gears now away from the consumer, the theory of how the consumer makes their decisions subject to a budget constraint. Those ideas of elasticity, how they respond to price changes, ideas about utility, what makes them happy, how they rearrange their bundles to be in consumer equilibrium. That was the consumer story, the theory of the consumer. And that's what your post-unit quiz 3 is going to be about. Now we're moving into the theory of the firm, putting on our hat to think like a firm. And this is a little more challenging because unless you've owned a business, maybe you're a lemonade stand or something like that, if you're fortunate to have owned a business somewhere along the line, it's hard to think like an owner, to think like a manager, like a firm in making these decisions instead of a consumer. So you have to totally suspend your consumer side of wanting to get the lowest price possible and think about a firm who wants to charge as high a price as possible, and also has to take into account the constraint of costs. So whereas the consumer had a budget constraint, the firm also has a budget in terms of what they can spend on buying resources in the production of the goods and services and what they cost to produce. And then hopefully they can get a price in the market that is above those costs so that they can make some profit. Okay? So that's where we're at. So 2 handouts have been posted. The first one I want to go through in this lecture, I want to keep these pretty short and not 50 minutes on you, for example. The first one is going to be on total product, and marginal cost. So I'm going to go through that one. The other handout that I posted that you'll find really helpful, and I will do a second lecture after this one finishes uploading, on cost curves in general and how we talk about costs and break down costs at the firm level so they can get their head around what the costs are for making a certain good or service, and then they can compare the costs to the price that they would get in the market, and compare whether the marginal cost, the cost of making the next unit, is worth it in terms of what they would sell that next unit for, what they would generate in terms of additional revenues from the next unit, the marginal revenue. So this is the marginal revenue, marginal cost story. And so we're going to be looking at the marginal cost portion. Finally, in the last third of the class, we'll be looking at marginal revenues a little bit. Okay. All right. So hang on. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, open up this handout. We'll just work through this, show you some of the mechanics, the math behind the total product, and marginal cost curve, and the connections between the 3 curves. We're going to end up stacking. Again, that was a technique that you learned on this last homework. And so now that you know how to stack graphs, now we're going to continue to do that because it is very insightful to see 2 different graphs that have different scales on the vertical axis, but yet have the same horizontal axis. We can stack them on top of each other. All right, so give me a second here, screen share. I'm going to go over here and hopefully you guys can see this now. Hopefully you can see my screen share. This is the Word document, again, that is posted. Go ahead and open this up. While I am talking, you can be filling this out as well. Additionally, there will be the blank copy that you can always go back and test yourself as we're approaching that exam. You want to try again, make sure you get this, go through it on your own without notes, and then go ahead and check your answers and see how you did, right? Kind of idea. All right, so in this case, think about, we've got some land. We've got like 100 acres or something, and we're growing a crop, and the crop can be enhanced. The production of the crop can be improved through the use of fertilizer. So if we put this fertilizer down, we're going to be able to yield more crops per our limited 100 acres. We're keeping the 100 acres the constant, okay? So the amount of land is the same. We're just adding different amounts of fertilizer and figuring out, is it worth it? Is the amount of extra product that we're going to generate worth the cost of the next bag of fertilizer? And so in this case, let's assume that a bag of fertilizer costs $20, okay? And so we're going to try different rounds. We're going to try it with no fertilizer. We're going to try it with 1 bag, 2 bag, and so on. Ultimately, you're going to see the reality is the science behind this. If we applied too much fertilizer, if we put too many bags of fertilizer, we could end up killing our crops. It could be that instead of getting more crops, we actually destroyed some existing by over-fertilizing, by killing our crops, okay? So anyways, let's see how this goes. So in the beginning, if we don't add any fertilizer, this crop is not going to survive. So we would have 0. So total product, TP, is the amount of bushels of output. VI stands for variable input. This is the input. We're adding the fertilizer onto our existing land. We've already paid for the land. We inherited the land from grandpa, let's say, okay? So what we're concerned about now is adding this, and assume that the crops were already there. Maybe it was cherry trees that we inherited as well, right? Okay, so we're just adding, our job is to add the fertilizer and see if we can get some crops out of this thing, okay? So when we add 1 bag of fertilizer, we notice, hey, that was pretty cool. That worked. We got 18 bushels of cherries, let's say, okay? So 18 bushels out of it. So when we had no fertilizer, the crops were not good, they were rotten, or whatever. They did not come to fruition, didn't grow right, okay? We had 0. But now the addition of 1 bag of fertilizer, 1 variable input, VI, right, added 18. So the marginal product is, in this case, I'm gonna put a dash dash. You can't, oh, dang it. What did I do? Why can I not enter in here? There we go. Sorry. And then here, that first bag of fertilizer in total added 18. So marginal product, and I have it written up here for you, marginal product is equal to the change in total product divided by the change in variable input. Now pay attention on your homework. The change in variable input isn't always 1 unit. In this simple example, it is. It's from 1 bag of fertilizer to the next bag to the next bag. So we are adding in increments of 1. So the change in variable input in our story for this example, super simple, is 1. If these had been, pay attention on your homework, 10, 20, 30, then your change in variable input would be 10, from 10 to 20. From 20 to 30, from 30 to 40, it would be increments of 10. So maybe instead of doing bags of fertilizer, if we had done ounces of fertilizer or pounds of fertilizer, then those wouldn't necessarily be nice, easy 1, 2, 3 units. You would have to look at the change between 1 level of input to the next additional amount that we added, the next couple cups of fertilizer that we added. Okay, so just a comment on this formula. It's change in total product divided by change in variable input. As I go along, I'm going to calculate the MPs. They're going to be really simple, just the change in total product, because we're dividing by 1, and it's just going to be that number. 10 divided by 1 is always 10, right? Okay, I don't want you to think that marginal product is always just the change in total product. It's the change in total product divided by the change in the variable input. It just so happens that it's 1 in this example, the change in variable input. Okay, so this first one, the first bag of fertilizer added 18. Now you've done this before with the marginal utility story, right? Instead of, we're doing the same thing, instead of total utility and marginal utility, we're now doing total product, marginal product. marginal always means change. So super easy. So this is exactly what you've done before with the total and marginal utility. We've just changed the U's to P's. Okay, really cool. We can do this. I know you can. All right, so 37, the second bag of fertilizer, with 2 bags of fertilizer on my 100 acres or on my 100 cherry trees, whatever, okay, whatever imagining your crop out there. I'm now able to get 37 bushels. So 2 bags of fertilizer gets me more, right? I'm now total cumulative at 37, but some of that was due to the first bag. So I want to know specifically, what did that second bag add? So the second bag, if we were already at 18 and now we're at 37, oh, excuse me, the change in total product is the marginal product is 19 from 18 to 37. Okay, put in your calculator 37 minus 18, and I think you get 19. All right, the next one is pretty easy. The third bag, after adding 3 bags of fertilizer, total output, the amount of bushels that we have all together from all 3 bags is 57. And so the third bag then added of its own 20 new bushels, because 2 fertilizers got us to 37. It was a third a bag of fertilizer that got us to 57, so that's 20. All right, I'm going to skip down for a second. We're going to come back to marginal cost. So let's just skip this part. Actually, no, I can't, because I need to add on here. So hold on. All right, so now let's stop and look at the first 3 bags of fertilizer and calculate how much per unit did that fertilizer, or how much did each additional unit that I got cost me? If I take that $20 and I spread it out over the 18 units, the $20 that I spent in the first case, the very first $20 for the very first bag of fertilizer, right? I've spent 20 bucks and I got 18 units. So what I want to know as a firm is, what is the per unit cost? So per bushel, how much did that fertilizer cost? Okay, so that's the marginal cost. In this case, it's going to be an average of the first 18. Okay, and so in this case, if I spent $20 and I got 18 bushels, right? If I take the 20 and I divide it by 18, I believe I get 1.11. Okay, so 20 over 18 is the same as, 10/9, right? And that's 1.11. Okay, so the marginal cost, the formula, I talked you through it intuitively, what that is, how I got that $1.11. I took the $20, spread it out over the 18 units, and I can get a per unit cost. That each bushel has embodied in it $1.11 worth of fertilizer cost. Okay? Now, marginal cost up here in the formula says what I did was I took the change in total cost divided by the change in total product. Well, the change in total product in this case is the marginal product, because change in total product divided by 1 is the marginal product. So in this case only does that second formula hold. But change in total cost divided by this change in total product, okay? And so in this case, so what I did, again, I took the change in total cost, the $20, because everything else was free. I inherited the land, the trees were already there, and my labor is free. It's my, I'm not paying myself, right? I'm the owner, not a worker. Anyways, and so the only cost was the $20. So the change in total cost, I went from 0, where I had no costs, to 1 bag of fertilizer, $20. The jump up was the $20. So $20 change in total cost divided by the change in total product, 18. So 20 divided by 18. That's how you got 111. If you need to stop, write this down, make sure that you know where the numbers are coming from. That's the point of this video, is to explain where the numbers are. Don't just memorize numbers, because that's not going to help you on the homework where I mix up the inputs and so on. But make sure you know how to get the numbers, okay? So then the next bag of fertilizer, I added another $20. Change in total cost is now $20. Its total cost is $40, because I have 2 bags of fertilizer. But the second bag, the change from 20 to 40, is only 20. So I'm taking the same $20 and I'm dividing it by the 19, the change in total product from 18 to 37, that's 19, right? So 20 divided by 19, and I got, when I did this, and you should double check, make sure your calculator doesn't lie to you, 1.05. Okay, so take the $20, spread it out over the 19, and you know it's going to be pretty close to 1 because 20 divided by 20 would be 1. So it's going to be just a little bit over a dollar, right? A dollar five, a dollar and a nickel in this case, per bushel. It embodies $1.05 worth of fertilizer cost. Okay, but that's per unit. That's kind of cool because then we can say, okay, well, it cost us $1.05 to make that next 19 units, right? Should I make sure that when I'm selling my cherries that I'm getting at least $1.05 per bushel? If I'm getting more than $1.05, hey, we're kicking butt. That's profit, right? Okay. So anyways, let's keep going. The next case, that third bag of fertilizer, remember that it produced 20. So $20 divided by the 20 bushels of that third bag of fertilizer that is directly attributable to, that's going to be 1.00. That one's pretty cool, right? All right, now going down, what if you're given the marginal cost? Can you go back and figure out what the marginal product and the total product is? Well, of course you can. There's 3 possible unknowns in this problem: total product, marginal cost. As long as you know any one, you can solve the other 2. For example, the first 3 bags of fertilizer, we were given total product and we were able to find marginal product and marginal cost. Now we're given marginal cost and working the other way, figuring out what must have been marginal product and then getting total product. In the third set, you're going to see you're given marginal product, and then you can find both total and marginal cost. Okay. All right. So in this case now, we know that $1.05 per unit. So $20, and they're $1.05 each. So if you take the 20, divide by the 105, what you should get is 19. And look, this matches up with this. So that's how I knew that answer too. But how did I get the 19? 20 divided by 105. So in this case, if I take 20 and I divide by 111, the cost per unit, I should get 18. Double check, and it actually comes out like 17.999, something like that, but it's close enough. You can round. Look, 18 is 1.11, okay? Uh-oh, the next one I don't have the answer to. So 20 divided by 1.18, put that into your calculator, right? Because it's $20 total, divided by the per unit cost of 1.18, that's going to tell me the number of units that were added and that we're covering. And so in this case, it ends up being 17, which makes sense. 18, 19, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, okay? So it does seem to fit in. Make sure that your answers make intuitive sense, okay? If you had gotten 37 here and you saw that before was 18 and after was 16, 37 doesn't seem to fit in. So you would go, I probably did some math wrong there, didn't I? Go back and double check. All right, so now that I have the marginal products for these units, I can now go ahead and add those to the total to get my running total, okay? So the fourth unit adds fourth unit of fertilizer, fourth variable input, the next bag of fertilizer, fourth one, adds 19. Well, 19 plus 57 is just 76. So I'm going to put a 76 in there. The next one adds 18. When I add 18 to 76, I think I get 94. And so on, 94, adding the 117 of the sixth unit of fertilizer should get me 111. 111 plus 16 is 127. We're on a roll. I'm going to keep going. I now know the next marginal product is 10 for the eighth bag of fertilizer. So I'm going to go 137. I can type. Now, here's where I was talking about with the ninth bag of fertilizer. My land cannot handle that. My crops cannot handle 9 bags, and they're actually starting to die. So notice with the ninth bag of fertilizer, I've actually decreased. I have 4 less units of output. Not good. So I subtract 4 from 137, and I'm down to 130. I would never want to add that ninth bag, because clearly it's killing my crops, right? All right. And then the next one is even worse. If I were to not realize that I had killed my crops, I would go down and only get 125. 133 minus 8 for the 10th bag of fertilizer would give me 125 bushels of crop, which is not good. All right, so now we need to go back real quickly, and you know how to do this, right? How to get the marginal cost. I'm going to take my $20 and divide it by my 16, and I'm going to get 1.25. And then I'm going to take my $20 divided by 10, and everybody knows that's 2. Okay, so there we go. So now we have our table all filled out. Awesome. It's not just about getting numbers, though. It's showing those numbers, showing what's going on with these graphs. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take these, now that you have them, make sure that you can do it, because these will be multiple choice questions, filling in the blanks, or, you know, if you're given the MP and the MC, can you find the TP, and so on. Those kinds of multiple choice questions will certainly come at you. But you also want to be familiar with, what do these things look like? So what we're going to do is we're going to graph the total product and the marginal product curves using variable input on the horizontal axis. That's going to be our quantity of fertilizer across the bottom. And we're going to stack them on top of each other, because I know I've mentioned it before when we talked about total and marginal utility. I'll mention it again. It bears repeating. It's worth repeating that total and marginal values never go on the same graph, because they have entirely different scales. If you look, these numbers go up to 125, and the marginal numbers only go up to 20. Way different scales, double digits, triple digits, okay? So let's stack these. So what I've done here, ta-da, and you can see this, I did total product on the top, variable input on the horizontal, and then marginal product on the vertical, and variable input. And I tried the best I could to stack my 1, 2, 3s so that they line up on top of each other, so that this 3 lines up with this 3, this 9 lines up with this 9. It's pretty darn close. It's not going to be perfect. It was me sketching on an iPad, okay? But when you plot the values, and these are actually the values, go back and look. I just took the values from the chart and I sketched it. This is what total product looks like. Marginal product, and again, this is kind of a crude example, but if you look at the numbers, what you'll see in terms of marginal product is it rises 18, 19, 20. It's increasing. So let's go back. 18, 19, 20 here at 3 units. And that's why I've drawn the line. This is the first region. It's increasing returns. As I add more fertilizer, my marginal product is going up. Each bag of fertilizer is adding more than the previous bag of fertilizer. Okay, the first bag added 18, second bag added 19, third bag, woohoo, winner, 20, that's the most, okay? So it's increasing. Now look at what's happening after 20, 19, 18, 17, it's falling. It's falling, it's decreasing. Decreasing. And this is diminishing, okay? Diminishing or decreasing returns. On the other hand, when I got to 9, it actually went negative, and that's what this line represents, is where did it go negative. So the curve, the marginal product curve, it rises, it falls, but it's still positive, and then it drops negative. So 3 phases: increasing returns, decreasing returns, negative returns. All right, the next, oh, that was what I wanted to show you. No, you know what? I lied. The next thing that I didn't ask for on here, but which is super duper cool, and I'm going to show you anyways because I have it. I believe I did it. I don't know why I forgot to paste it. But I have a picture. I'm going to draw the MP and the MC stacked. So this was total product and marginal product of the 3 columns that we calculated. This was total product and marginal. We can also stack marginal product and marginal cost on top of each other, keeping the same variable input on the horizontals. Let's see what those look like. Again, stacked because they're different. So in this case, bear with me. I think I can go grab this. You may not be able to see it, but I'm going to copy and bring it in. When I bring it in, you should be able to see it because I'm not sharing that. Okay, hold on. So hopefully you can still see this. I'm going to paste. It's going to be huge when I paste it. It always is. Give me a second to shrink it so you guys can see it. Here we go. Let me shrink it a little bit more so it all fits on my screen. And this is the relationship between marginal product and marginal cost. And this is really, really important. Let's go back to our table and let me show this to you in the numbers. And again, looking at marginal product, okay, it is rising 18, 19, 20, and then falling 19, 18. We just went through this. Look at marginal cost. It starts at 1.11 and then it falls to 105. It falls to 1.0. So it's falling, right? Whereas marginal product was rising, 18, 19, 20 going up, this marginal cost is going down. 111, 105, 100. They're opposite, okay? They're opposite to each other. Now, after that 1.0 minimum, now look what happens to marginal cost. It's going up again. 1.05, 1.1, up again. It's going up. 1.05, 1.11, 1.18, and so on. You can see that in the graph. Notice that when the marginal product is rising, the marginal cost is falling. Then when the marginal product starts falling, the marginal cost starts rising. These graphs are reflections of each other, okay? They're reflections. So when one is rising, the other one's falling. When one is falling, the other one is rising. And you can see that the max on the marginal product curve always corresponds with the minimum on the marginal cost curve. Really cool relationship that you should get your head around. All right, so I think that's enough about production. That's the first part of chapter 7. We've already done marginal costs, but we're going to look at some other types of costs, in particular total costs and average costs. So that's going to be the next lecture, the next handout called cost curves that I have posted for you guys. So thanks so much for listening. Okay, I'm going to end this lecture here, upload it, take a few minutes for it to upload, and then I should be back later this afternoon with a lecture on those cost curves, and all of this will help with your homework. I believe it's due next Friday, but double check me on that. Get started early so that you don't run out of time. I hate when that happens with students. I know you've got so much else going on and you're like, oh, well, I'll do this for this class on this day, and then you forget something. But do your best. Canvas is really good, I think, about letting you know your deadlines. Just stay on top of those. All right, you guys are working hard. I know it. I'm here to help. Let me know what I can do. Anything further. I have posted other videos so you can hear other professors' take on this. Sometimes we all present it a little bit different. Something will click. You might click better with the AC/DC guy, Mr. Clifford. You may click better with the Mr. Welker guy. That's fine. Absolutely. That's why I post all those other videos. Everybody learns differently. And so I'm trying to cover a wide variety of instructional styles, but yet hit home the same basic ideas. So, all right, let me know if you have any questions. Don't be a stranger. I missed you guys. I do have my Zoom office hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to 12. I'd love to chat with you and just even meet with you. So, all right, we can chat about anything. We can talk about the Michael Jordan documentary, Last Dance, if you want. All right, I'm a huge sports fan, sorry. Anyways, so have a good weekend. Work hard. Keep working hard, I should say. I know how hard you guys are working. So hang in there. Hopefully this will upload real soon. All right, I'm going to exit out. Stop sharing. That's what I'm going to do first. And then I'm going to do stop recording.